I was home alone for Christmas, so I decided to watch some old horror movies to get in the spirit. I started with the classics, Psycho, The Shining, Halloween, Friday the 13th, but nothing really scared me. Then I found this movie called The Last Man on Earth, which was released in 2006. It was about a guy who is the last human alive, and he is being hunted by vampires. And the whole movie is just him running and hiding and trying to stay alive. Now, normally I don't like movies like this because they're always full of jump scares, and they rely on making you afraid of the dark. But I was bored, so I started watching it. About halfway through the movie, I started to feel something crawling on my skin. First I thought it was just nerves because the movie was actually kind of scary. But then I started to feel it more and more. And then finally I couldn't take it anymore. So I turned on the light and I looked down and I saw that my entire body was covered in these little red bumps. At first I thought it was a reaction to the stress of the movie. But then I remembered that I had an important call in about an hour, and I couldn't have my skin looking like this. So I decided to wait until after the call and then I'd go to the bathroom and look in the mirror. Well, the call went fine and I got off the phone and I immediately ran to the bathroom. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see any bumps. My skin was perfectly smooth and clear, so I shrugged it off and went back to watching my movie. 5 minutes later, the crawling feeling started again, so I went back to the bathroom to check again, and this time my skin was covered in these little white bumps. I was freaking out at this point. What the hell was happening to me? Was I turning into some kind of monster? Then all of a sudden my eyes started burning and I could barely see. I stumbled back and accidentally knocked over the trash can. As I reached down to pick up the trash, I felt something wet and slimy. I looked down and saw that my hand was covered in blood. I screamed and ran to the bathroom again. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see any blood. My hand was perfectly clean. That's when I realized that I wasn't actually turning into a monster. Instead, I was just covered in a bunch of spiders. I must have sat on a spider that crawled up my shirt, and then more spiders came, and then must have scratched my skin while laying in bed, and that's what caused the bumps. But then I heard a knock at the door and I panicked. Who could be at my door at this hour? I ran to the window and looked out, and there was a man standing at my door holding a pumpkin. I opened the door a crack and asked who he was. He said trick or treat. Then he reached out his hand to grab the candy I had left out for trick-or-treaters. I slammed the door shut and locked it, and that's when I realized that I wasn't alone after all.